Tyson Fury shown getting his hand wrapped by BT Sports, a UK media. Glovegate 2.0, Debunked. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We work it. Now, shameless plug, ESPN Plus UFC 251. If you are interested in ordering that ESPN Plus pay-per-view, should be a great fight between Jorge Masvidal and Usman. Championship fight. Shout out to UFC getting that done. Late terms with a replacement opponent, Jorge Masvidal. To me, better than the original fight. ESPN Plus pay-per-view if you're interested in purchasing that, or ESPN Plus as a platform, either standalone or the bundle, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Use my link. It's in the description of all my videos, and it helps the channel grow and put out more and more content. You know, it feeds the beast. Now, leave it to Ego Forensic Files, Boxing Ego Forensics, to tackle this. BT Sport put out a clip, and we're going to just jam right into it. Smash the like button. They put out a clip after I put out my videos. Marcellus Wilder came out with his claim that his brother has a dent in his head based on the Fury 2 fight from per the doctor's suggestion, or he said autopsy, which was a poor choice of words at best. But it doesn't alleviate the fact that Glovegate 2.0 is among us, and there's a lot going on. Now, there are a lot of people within old media that are trying to distract you with different topics to talk about. Oh, Ryan Garcia could fight this guy, Luke Campbell, or this guy, things like that. But we're still worried about the cleanliness of our sport. So there's Tyson Fury Glovegate 2.0. As I mentioned, this is the stain that won't go away. Now, there's some people who are even considering Tyson Fury Glovegate 2.0 a conspiracy, or a conspiracy theorist movement or whatever, in some type of ill-willed plot to assassinate or defame the character known as Tyson Fury. But you got to understand verbiage that people use, and you got to understand the vernacular and linguistics that people utilize. So by definition, I want to start here. This is a regular dictionary. Google. All right. Conspiracy, noun. Let me get y'all in. A secret plan by a group. You know, new media is a group. Okay. A secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. Example, conspiracy to destroy the government. We're not trying to destroy boxing. In fact, we're trying to preserve the integrity of boxing. So this is not a secret plan, right? And this is what we're talking about. Having questions about Tyson Fury's gloves, it's definitely not unlawful. You know, other definitions say it's things that are evil and, like, you know, malicious. We're not doing anything malicious or unlawful or evil. It says the action of plotting or conspiring, the action of plotting or conspiring, right? We can expand this. A conspiracy of silence. Oh, okay. An agreement. Look at this. Wow. An agreement to say nothing. Hold on. Let me get y'all so you can see. Read along with me. Conspiracy of silence is an agreement to say nothing about an issue that should be generally known. So one could definitely argue, and I think it's safe to say, that the people who refuse to talk about Glovegate 2.0, old media, they are committing the conspiracy here. They are committing a conspiracy of silence, which again is an agreement to say nothing about an issue that should be generally known. Now, I'm not in charge of Google and what happens. That's just the basic definition of conspiracy. So we had to start and tackle that first, because there are people that they wanted it with new media, and they're saying, we are the conspiracy. We are the conspiracy theorists. But by definition, I just showed you the actual conspiracy would be doing something evil, unlawful, malicious, right? And, you know, having this dastardly plan. Or a conspiracy of silence, which is a phrase utilizing the noun in a phrase. It says an agreement to say nothing about an issue. So we have questions. The WBC says they refuse to investigate. So we'll run our own investigations. Now, to get you guys caught up to speed, Ego Forensic Files. There are people who are talking about Tyson Fury is innocent because BT Sport have released footage, right? They've released footage where Tyson Fury was getting his hands wrapped. Now, the only error there is this. Tyson Fury getting his hands wrapped, as you guys can see on the screen. Nobody said anything was wrong with Tyson Fury's actual wraps. This is not an Antonio Margarito case where somebody says his wraps were loaded with a substance or plaster of Paris. So by BT Sport, I can't show you the actual video. So just so you guys know, this is not a video. That's not a video for copyright reasons and legal reasons. BT Sport showing this clip of Wilder's team member, Deas, in the locker room as Fury's getting his hand wrapped. That literally proves nothing, right? That literally, there's people who are writing articles, old media and stuff, and they're saying the conspiracy theorists shot down by BT Sport leaked video. This doesn't prove anything, and I'm going to prove it further. But all these pictures you guys see in screen caps of Deas watching the hand wrapping, no one is alleging that the wraps were soaked in plaster of Paris. This is not exactly the same as like Billy Collins versus Resto or Antonio Margarito. People have questions about Tyson Fury's glove, the marks, the ligature marks or whatever that is, the indentations, the dents, the quality control of his glove. So this doesn't silence anything. Let's keep going. I'll prove it. So look, BT Sport crushes Tyson Fury Glovegate, and they're referencing that video. Here's another one from World Boxing News. Tyson Fury glove conspiracy neutralized. We just talked about the word conspiracy. What is a conspiracy? To ask questions? That is not the conspiracy. There's nothing evil, malicious, or unlawful being practiced by asking questions when things look awry. But disbelievers won't budge, So this whole thing is showing Tyson Fury's rebuttal, which I've covered everything. Listen, new media is giving you both sides of the argument. I'd let you know when Tyson Fury posts something, right? When BT Sport posts something. Now I'm going to take you down memory lane. Link in the description. I'm going to show you why that BT Sport, I'm going to debunk the debunk, because the debunk didn't really debunk anything. If you follow along, let's get it. Boxing scene. Now, keep in mind, this was from last year in the UK, an unrelated heavyweight fight, though. Team Revis member details gloves dispute in the Dillian Whyte fight, right? So this is before Wilder even fought against Tyson Fury. Summer of last year, July 25th. This is from the mind of Russ Abner, right? A member of Oscar Rivas's corner, who is the guy that fought Dillian Whyte. And he's also the CEO and creator of Rival Boxing Gear. So in case you guys don't know, Rival Boxing Gear is a popular brand, just like Everlast or Cleto Reyes, that some fighters choose to use in competition. They have approved gloves. It's on the NSAC and California State Athletic Commission. And he was working with Team Oscar Rivas. That's why you see the Rival logo, and he's wearing Rival gloves against Dillian Whyte. And Dillian Whyte won this fight. Later, we find out he failed a drug test, which is something so separate. But I just want to talk about the gloves. Let's talk about the gloves. So this is just talking about how it was a good fight. But now here's where it gets chippy. Russ Abner, who was representing part of the team of Rivas and also has his own boxing gear. He makes his own gloves, Rival. Look him up. Russ Abner says, quote, "We actually filed an official protest to the WBC prior to the fight because of some of the things that happened beforehand. Our protest was filed before the boxers even entered the ring, so it's not a case of sour grapes because Oscar lost." So they're saying you can't say we're just crying because he lost because we filed this protest before the fight even commenced. Russ Abner says it all goes back to the day before the fight when we had the rules meeting and glove selection meeting with the various officials and the British Boxing Board of Control, BBBOC. So that's the commission over there in the UK. Russ Abner goes on to say, "To be honest, I can't begin to express our disappointment with everything that happened. The double standard started when we, Team Rivas, brought an extra pair of gloves to the glove selection meeting. We were told we couldn't bring that pair of gloves in. We asked why not, and we were told it was because they had to be brought in by the promoter. Well, our promoter, Yvonne Michelle, was in the room with us. What difference does it really make who's physically carrying the bag of gloves? The promoter or someone else to give to the promoter? That's just really semantics. He goes on to say, anyway, we ended up not being allowed to submit these additional gloves. So because they were in the wrong person's hand, but they were all unit moving forward into this room, they said, nope, you can't bring these gloves. That, you can't even use them. Thankfully, we didn't end up needing them, but it was an example of what was to come. Russ Abner continued to say, on fight night, this is where it gets really sketch. On fight night, about half an hour before we were set to go into the ring, Dillian Whyte's camp suddenly told us they were not wearing the gloves that they selected at the glove selection meeting the day before. He says not the number 1 pair that they had selected, not even the number 2 pair either, but another brand of gloves that weren't even on the table at the glove selection process. So let's say glove 1 was red, glove 2 was blue. 30 minutes before the fight on fight night, they come into Rivas's locker and say he's not wearing the red and blue gloves that we all agreed mutually on and we all inspected and boom, boom, boom. He's wearing this third pair of gloves that were never brought to the forefront, brought to the table, and they're green. And it was a different look. He says another brand. So he's not even staying consistent with the brand. It's like he said he was going to wear the Everlast red or blue gloves. Those were his primary pair and then his backup pair. He came with a third glove. This is why it's a controversy. A third glove that was green that wasn't even the Everlast or the same model or whatever. Shaky. Russ Abner says, of course, we protested and said, what is the point of the glove selection meeting if you are going to wear whatever you want? At the meeting, Dillian's representative, who ironically, Dillian Whyte just announced this morning that he's no longer working with trainer Mark Tibbs. I don't know why, but he says he's training in Portugal. I hope the World Boxing Council, WBC, has clean boxing program and they have representation or, a third party that is doing drug testing worldwide, even in Portugal. Because Dillian Whyte right now, from this particular fight, is in line to fight Wilder Fury 2 winner. So that's a separate issue too. But at the time, his trainer was Mark Tibbs, who had chosen the 2 sets of gloves and signed them off. The petition or the protest continued. Russ Abner says, quote, no one said at the rules meeting, oh, by the way, if on the night you want to switch the gloves, you can. To make that matters worse, or it says to make matters worse, not only was Dillian Whyte allowed to wear these new gloves, but he was already gloved up. He was already gloved up and we weren't even allowed to inspect them. So once again, glove 1 red, primary gloves that were supposed to be used. A backup pair, glove 2 was blue. I'm just making colors for it to make it easier for you to comprehend. Glove 1 red, primary gloves. They always have a backup pair in case something, threads are coming loose with the red gloves. Then they had glove 2 blue. They brought a third glove, different brand, different color. And 30 minutes before the fight, they told Team Rivas this. This is why Russ Abner has protested and there was a glove controversy. He says to make matters worse, not only was Dillian Whyte allowed to wear those gloves, but he was already gloved up and we weren't even allowed. So they just put him on. They put him on and shoot first, ask questions last. They put the gloves on and then told him that he's wearing different gloves. So when you go out there and you see him, he don't got the gloves that you selected the day before in front of the council. And when you see him with green gloves, you know what's up, but it was too late. Russ Abner continues, bear in mind, his camp inspected our gloves. They knew what we were wearing. In contrast, we had no idea what they were using because they were allowed to pick whatever glove they wanted, tape it up and put it on. Even after we reluctantly agreed to let them make the change, we still weren't allowed to see the gloves. It's insane, and it created the impression that something was going on, that there was something being hidden. This is before Wilder Fury 2. I mean, if those were the gloves that they were going to use all along, why not select those gloves? Why not select them and bring them to the glove selection meeting if that's what you wanted? So that's why it looks fishy. If it was a late change for some reason that was needed on the night, why not allow us the courtesy of inspecting the gloves as you do at the glove selection meeting? fishy. What's going on? What was going on? I don't get it. We saw Dillian Whyte's hands being wrapped. Now, but wait, there's more. He says, we saw Dillian Whyte's hands being wrapped, but not the gloves being put on. Fast forward to Wilder Fury 2, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. They are saying in articles that because BT Sport released a clip of Tyson Fury getting his hands wrapped, there is no possible way. It is inconceivable that the glove had been illegally tampered with, because Deas of Team Wilder people was there for the hand wrapping ceremony, as you can see in this picture. So fast forward to a fight in the heavyweight division that I've now proved to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It don't work like that. He said, we saw, this is Russ Abner. We back to Oscar Rivas versus Dillian Whyte in the UK, where Tyson Fury's from. He said, we saw Dillian Whyte's hands being wrapped, but not the gloves being put on. So Deas being in the dressing room, people are saying, oh, this is crazy. This proves it all along. No, he was there for the hand wrapping, and nobody had questions about Tyson Fury's hand wrap. Again, this is not Margarito or Resto, where people think Tyson Fury's hand wraps were the problem. People had problems with the way and the condition and the deformities shown in the glove, not the actual war tape or whatever. Once again, we saw Dillian Whyte's hands being wrapped, but not the gloves being put on. So all the people that said, oh, the commission's there, Deas was there, so it's impossible. All of this happened on Boxing's watch in the UK for a televised main event on DAZN. Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas, which subsequently was sanctioned as a WBC Diamond Belt fight. WBC Diamond Belt fight. The winner of that fight, Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas, was to get the winner of Wilder Fury and be the #1 mandatory. So this, my friends, is what's happening in boxing. We saw Dillian Whyte's hands wrapped, but not the gloves being put on. We weren't allowed. We couldn't examine the gloves, and we protested. And when we protested, we were told, quote, too bad, by the board of officials. So again, this is not Nevada State Athletic Commission. Don't confuse the two stories. I'm drawing the similarities and the comparisons. This is what's happening in boxing in a WBC sanctioned fight. In general, this should never have happened for under any sanctioning body with anybody's officials. But in boxing, these things seem to just happen. He said we were told too bad. Effectively, they said that they weren't going to make him take the gloves off. They are already on and the fight's about to start. Well, it takes about 90 seconds at most to put on or take off a pair of gloves. So why not allow us the courtesy of being able to see the gloves? This is Russ Abner's pleas for the safety of his fighter in the sport of boxing. All that happened was everything ended up being shrouded in controversy. You know, fast forward to the future, Wilder Fury 2, and didn't look transparent. We filed our protest before we even went into the ring. So they had these complaints and they still pushed forward the fight. They still pushed it forward, and he was met with resistance from that particular commission, the BBBFC in the UK. And he says, can you blame us? I mean, can you imagine if the boot was on the other foot? This the best part. As soon as a situation occurred, say for a British fighter fighting an American in America, like let's say Caleb Smith versus Anthony Joshua, there would be hell to pay, and rightfully so. Can you imagine that fast forward to the future, at this time, this was before Wilder Fury. This man says, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and a situation like this occurred with a British fighter fighting in America. Tyson Fury, a British gypsy fighter who's failed drug tests before, fighting in America against an African-American black fighter in Vegas who represented America in the Olympics. Russ Abner, before Wilder Fury 2 even happened, says there would have been hell to pay, and rightfully so. When Vasyl Lomachenko, whose corner I was working in, fought Anthony Corolla earlier this year, Joe Gallagher made sure that Lomachenko's gloves were weighed by the Athletic Commission. And he was right to do so. He was allowed and entitled to do that. I say that as someone who was working for the opposite fighter. Quite simply, we should have been allowed to weigh the gloves and inspect the gloves, said Russ Abner. Our complaint isn't against Dillian and his camp. I understand when you go into a fight, your camp does everything to give their man the edge. That's part of the gamesmanship of boxing. But that's why the commissions are there, to ensure there is transparency and fairness and to protect both fighters, not only one. Board chairman Robert Smith is a very fair man. I've never had any issues with him, but he wasn't at the fight on Saturday. Another thing we weren't happy with was the referee, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to go because I don't want to distract too much. So let's connect this back to JD's. So people, I've already told you what conspiracy means. What is the real conspiracy here? Because people have questions about Tyson Fury's glove looking crazy. You can go on Twitter. There's fans galore. They're all like, man, what's up with his glove? I've never seen a glove implode like that, blah, blah, blah. And the only rebuttal from old media is that Deas was in the look, because he was back there. But there's a prime example that I've now laced the boxing game with that a lot of you guys, if you don't follow boxing, may not have known about. Link in the description. Where this team had to fight Dillian Whyte against all odds, and the commission over there allowed this all to happen and allowed Dillian Whyte to switch to a third pair of gloves that were not okayed and not checked off. So if this is just happening on Boxing's watch, so if that can happen in the UK for a televised main event in the heavyweight division that was also sanctioned by the WBC, why can't this happen in Vegas? You know, the betting capital. Why can't this happen anywhere else? Saudi Arabia. The reality is it can happen. That's the reality, folks, that it can happen. So boxing needs a full-fledged investigation. These allegations aren't going to go anywhere. You can come up with all the damage control articles saying it's neutralized and, you know, people still persist. But people are tired of the games. Wilder's face was bleeding. And like Russ Abner said in petition with his fighter, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and this was Anthony Joshua or Caleb Smith. Or I got an even better example. Can you imagine an American fighter like Floyd Mayweather fighting Ricky Hitman Hatton over there in the UK? And Glovegate, and Floyd already had failed 2 drug tests, and Floyd already had a Glovegate 1 that people were concerned about. And then Floyd Mayweather knocks out Ricky Hatton, which he naturally did. And he knocked him out in London, you know, at the at the Wembley or something. And he knocked him out. And then people see Floyd's gloves look depreciated. And then people said, just get over it. You know, who cares? You guys are complaining, quit crying. You would never see that. And I think we know why. But Tyson Fury's glove can look like an iron or a defibrillator, whereas Klitschko, and these are even media day gloves, they don't matter. It retains the shape. How are these Pathin Sport gloves approved? And show me one picture of somebody else's gloves that look like Tyson Fury's glove, where it looks like punched in and packed in, which is all illegal. You can't pack your gloves. You can't tamper it. I already went over it, and I'll put the clip in there so you guys can see. So I'm showing you proof that this is the type of corruption and different things that happen on Boxing's watch. So that's why it's not going away. ESPN Plus pay-per-view, order that. UFC 251. Sign up for the Patreon and YouTube channel members. We have great conversations. And, you know, Glovegate 2.0 is here. All the people saying it's conspiracy and not looking into it, you're just showing your hand. You're showing you don't care about the integrity of the sport for whatever reason. Maybe you're paid off. Maybe you're just happy. They want Tyson Fury to hold on to this win so bad, they don't even care if there was anything malicious. If it was nothing malicious, after all this controversy, why not bring out the gloves? And it better have Wilder's DNA on it and look like the same gloves. Why not do stuff like this? Why are there situations with Team Rivas going through all of this hell to fight, and then he gets to switch, Dillian Whyte gets to switch to whatever gloves he wants, and people are saying it's a conspiracy? Inquiring minds want to know. So JD's being in the locker room, he was there, he did his job, but most likely Tyson Fury if the gloves have been tampered with, they're not going to do it in front of the ops. They're not going to do it in front of Team Wilder. So if Tyson Fury's hand wrapping, no one's worried about saying he had stacked wraps or anything like that. We have questions on the quality control of the glove. So old media has more questions to answer. Again, inquiring minds want to know. New media, we control the narrative. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.